And when we do equation of a tangent line, we always think of two things, point and slope, okay? So when you do an equation of a tangent line, you're going to talk about point and talk about slope, and you're going to get a value for both of those. So let me show you guys, okay, how to do this. So let's look at your warm-up. We're going to start doing point and slope, and then I'll show you how to do an equation of a tangent line, okay? In your first question in your warm-up, it asks you what f of 2 is. It says, here's what f is. Tell me what f of 2 is. If you know f, how do you get f of 2? Plug into everywhere there's a what? Everywhere there's an x, you plug in 2, right? So this would be, now be careful, it's not 2 times 2 squared. It's 2 squared, then times 2, right? Because exponents before multiplication. So that's going to be 8 minus 10 plus 7. So that's going to be 5. So when you see this, what you have is a point. I mean, I don't know if you see it, but there's a point here, 2, 5. And that's what you're going to do for these problems, okay? Sydney, you with me? And then after that, you're going to take the derivative, okay? So you've got the function, and now you're going to take the derivative. And the derivative is going to be, see if this makes sense. Do I plug in my 2 first, so I get 5, and then the derivative of 5 is 0, right? See, I plug in my 2, and then the derivative of 5 is 0, right? Is that how you find a derivative and plug it in? No, no, no. First you take the derivative, and then you plug it in. You guys ready for that? Because if you plug in 2 first, then take the derivative, do you realize you'll always get 0? Does that make sense? Because the derivative of any number is going to be 0. So you always want to take the derivative first and then plug in, all right? So even though it says take the derivative plugging in 2, what it means is to find the derivative first. Find it with x first. So it's 4x minus 5. And then after you do that, then plug in your 2. And I get 3. Okay, so I've got 2 numbers here. I've got the point, which is what you need for a tangent line, equation of a tangent line, and I've got this derivative, or the slope, okay, and the slope is 3. You always need 2 things. You need a point, you need a slope, and you need numbers for them, okay? So you don't want them in x form. You need them to be numbers. Okay, and let's think about what this is. What this is, I mean, what are we even saying here? What we're saying is this, and see if this makes any sense. We're saying, let me see if I can grab this whole thing. Okay, we're saying that if I graph this parabola, okay, and even if I graphed it wrong, okay, if I graph this parabola, if I go to point 2, so let me go to point 2, this means there's a 0.25 on the parabola. Is everybody good with that? That's what f of 2 equals 5 means. Okay, we've done that. All right, what does f prime at 2 mean? F prime of 2 means that if I get closer and closer and closer and closer to that point, so close that it looks like a line, okay? Let me see if I can remove this point. So close that it looks like a line. If I take that line and I extend it, okay, this line is called a tangent line at that point, okay? And this tangent line has a slope. The slope of the tangent line. When I say derivative, you say slope of a tangent line. The slope of that tangent line, because that's a derivative. The slope of that tangent line at 2, this slope is going to be equal to 3. Does that make sense? So this slope is going to be equal to 3. What if I chose another point? What if I chose this point over here? Let's say negative 10. Okay, what would this slope of the tangent line be? Well, here's the function, right? The derivative is 4x minus 5. Can you do it that quickly? Okay, if the derivative is 4x minus 5 of this black function, what's the slope right there at negative 10 going to be? Negative 45, right? You would just plug in negative 10 right there. That would be negative 45. Do you see what derivative means? It's just the slope at that point, okay? Instantaneous rate of change. All right, so we're going to move on in our notes. Below the warm-up, what you'll see is after we figured out that the slope was 3, okay, I erased more than I wanted to, but that's okay. So after I figured out that f prime at 2 is equal to 3, okay, I have 2 things. I have a point and I have a slope. My slope was 3 and my point was 2, 5. I plugged this into what's called the point-slope formula, the equation of a line, okay? Guys, when you guys learned equation of a line in Algebra 1, they taught you y equals mx plus b. Do you remember that? And you know that to this day, like they drilled that into you. And I don't know if you remember, do you remember how hard it was when you first started to like get y equals mx plus b? I still kind of think it's kind of difficult, but y equals mx plus b is like a really, like to get that y-intercept, that plus b, it was really hard to get. And when I was in high school, we didn't do y equals mx plus b. The reason that you guys did y equals mx plus b, whether you know it or not, is because CFISD wanted you to plug that y equals mx plus b into the calculator. Does that make sense? And they wanted you to do well on the EOC test, and they wanted you to do well on the Algebra 1 test. And if you could figure out y equals mx plus b, you could plug it in a calculator. You could pretty much do all sorts of things on the calculator. Does that make sense? But when I was in high school, calculators, actually calculators were kind of just invented, like getting popular when I was in middle school. Like just like even like the 5-function calculators, like the barely anything, okay? And then the big thing was when it went solar, okay, that was like a giant thing when I was in middle school where you didn't need a battery anymore, okay? And then the calculators you guys have now, they were invented when I was in high school, and they were like $300 to $400 a pop, okay? So no one had it unless you were rich, and I was ghetto, so for sure I didn't have it, okay? So so we had to do what was called the point slope formula, okay, not the y equals mx plus b formula. And so we're actually going to go back to it. Why? Because actually the point slope formula is way easier than what you guys were taught. But you guys were taught y equals mx plus b because you needed, like Sci-Fi wanted you to put that into your calculator, okay? And nowadays, I don't know how they're going to change things, but nowadays calculators are getting so sophisticated that you don't even need the y equals anymore. I don't know if you've seen the new calculators. They're kind of like Desmos, where you don't have to have a function to graph anymore. So I don't know if things will change, but so far we're still doing y equals mx plus b. But without a calculator, this was a way easier way to do it. It's called the point slope formula, okay? And what it means is this is the equation of a line, okay? It's just another one. Your equation was called the y-intercept formula. This is called the point slope formula. And what we did was we said y minus y, and this was our x1 and this was our y1. We said y minus y, so this was a 5, is equal to the slope, so this is a 3, times x minus x. Okay, so this is what we did. It's called the point slope formula, and this is what we do a lot in calculus. One, because it's a lot easier, and two, because it works. This is all you need to do. You only need two things. You need a point and you need a slope, okay? And if you put it into this equation, and this is an equation of a line. If you graph this, this would be a line. In MML and also in this class, we're going to ask you to actually solve for y equals mx plus b, and you're used to it, so you should be okay with it. All you do is solve for y, so this will be y minus 5 is equal to 3x minus 6, okay? If you want y by itself, you're going to add 5 to both sides, so let me add 5 to the right side. So what I'll get is 3x minus 1, okay? And that is your y equals mx plus b form. But it came from this point slope form, okay? So the point slope form, really, you just need two things. What two things do you need? A point and a slope. And that's what you need to write an equation of a tangent line. So this is your answer for the equation of the tangent line in your example. Let's do the second example on the front page. So the second example is a very similar problem, okay? It says y is equal to the square root of x. Okay, wait, let me just make sure you guys understand. That equation that we just got, this y equals 3x minus 1, that is the equation of this line right here. This equation is y equals 3x minus 1. Okay, just to make sure you understand. We found the equation of the tangent line at this point, 2, 5, and that equation is y equals 3x minus 1. Okay? All right, so let's go to the next question, which says, if you have a function y equals square root of x, what is the equation of the tangent line? So they're asking you, what's the equation of the tangent line, okay, when x is 4? So x equals 4. Okay, if they ask you for an equation of the tangent line, what two things do you need to write down? Point and slope. Okay, and what you need to do is write a number down for each of them, or try to get a number for each of them. All right, what's my point? So guys, a point is a coordinate, so it's an x comma y. Okay, so tell me an x number I have. 4. if x is 4, can I get y? Yeah, what is it? 2. Do you guys see how he got that? It's just this function right here, y equals square root of x. Okay, that was easy. Now, I want to get this equation of a tangent line, so I need the slope of this tangent line. How do I get a slope of a tangent line? What did she say? How did I get a slope of a tangent line? Derivative. When I say derivative, you say slope of a tangent line. So guys, the slope is just the derivative. So if I know y is equal to x, square root of x, isn't that really x to the 1/2? So slope is the tangent, slope of the tangent line is really the derivative of y. So let's do the derivative. It's 1/2 x to the negative 1/2, okay? But what you want to do is get this in number form, okay? And you can't plug it in number form unless you simplify it, okay? So no negative exponents. And this is really the same as 1 over 2 square root of x, okay? And we've done this over and over again. What is the derivative of the square root of x, okay? You had it on your test too, whether you knew it or not, all right? So y prime is equal to 1 over 2 square root of x, all right? Now, if I want this in a number form, how can I change this to a number? Yeah, do I know what x is? What's x? 4. So that's going to be 1 over 2 times 2, right? So my answer here is 1/4. That is the slope, and that is the point. All right, guys, what do I need to get an equation of a tangent line? A point and a slope, okay? I've got it in number forms. Let's plug it in. Here we go. The formula is y minus y is equal to the slope times the quantity x minus x. And it's really just a plug-in. So here we go. Y minus 2. Do you see where I'm getting this y? This is x1 and y1. So y minus 2 is equal to the slope. What's the slope? 1/4 times x minus, and then x. What's the x here? 4. Okay? So I have this formula right here. This is the answer to the equation of a tangent line. Okay? This is a great answer. It's just your book is going to want you to simplify this. Okay? So this is going to be distribute this, and right here is really just an algebra problem. It's no longer calculus. This would be 1/4 x minus 1. I'm going to add 2 to both sides to try to get it into mx plus b form. So this is going to be y equals 1/4 x plus 1. And that is the equation of your tangent line. Okay, what is that saying? That's saying if I went and I graphed y equals square root of x, if I graphed this red function, okay, graphed y equals square root of x, okay, if I wanted the derivative at any point, so let's just say here at 4/2, if I wanted to get the derivative at 4/2, that derivative would be expressed by 1/4, and the equation of the tangent line there, the equation of the tangent line here, so this tangent line right here, I didn't draw the tangent line very well, so that tangent line right there, okay, is going to be, the equation would be y equals 1/4 x, I think it's minus 1, is that right? Plus 1. Plus 1. Does that make sense to you? That's what we just did. Okay, you guys good with that? Okay, do you guys mind putting your phones away? We're going to go to the second question, letter B. Okay, that was the equation of the tangent line. We're going to go to letter B. Yes? Yeah, so the derivative part is just this 1/4 part. Does that make sense? And then you need the two things. You need the derivative and the point to make the whole equation. The equation is both parts put together. Okay, good question. The reason, I think students get confused. Like sometimes I'll just say, what's the slope of the tangent line? And then the students will write point and slope, which isn't wrong, but you realize when I say what's the slope of the tangent line, you only needed this part. Does that make sense? But if I say what's the equation of the tangent line, then you need two parts so you can put them together. Okay, so let's do another question. We're going to say, determine the point where the tangent line has a slope of 1/8. All right, so what is this? This is saying now we don't know what the point is. Okay, so I'm going to erase this 4/2. We don't know what the point is. But we know that the slope is what? 1/8. Does that make sense? So we know y prime is 1/8. Okay, so here's the question. If I know y prime is 1/8, could I figure out xy? How? With what formula? Right there. Does that make sense? The derivative is right here. We know the derivative is 1/8 because that's the slope of a tangent line, right? Isn't the slope of the tangent line the derivative? If we set that equal to 1/8, then we can actually solve for x. So I know y prime is 1 over 2 square root of x. Do you guys see where I'm getting that? That was a derivative that I figured out before. Set that equal to 1/8. Okay? Solve for your x, and whatever your x is, it can go back into here. All right. Guys, to solve this, you need to know that you can cross multiply only if you have one fraction on the left, one fraction on the right, and an equal sign in the middle. That's the only time that you can cross multiply. And I do. I have one fraction on the left, one fraction on the right, and an equal sign in the middle. So let's cross multiply. What I'll get is 2 square root of x is equal to 8. Okay? I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Okay, and then this part here students get confused by, should I square root both sides or should I square both sides? Square, right? So this will be x is equal to 16. If x is equal to 16, do you see I've already gotten the point? Kind of. I've gotten one part of the point. The x value is 16. If I know my x, can I figure out my y? If I know my x, can I figure out my y? Yes. What's the square root of 16? 4. And that is my answer. Letter B says, find the point when the slope of the tangent line is 1/8, and this is the point. Okay, so what is that saying? That's saying if I go out onto this graph and I go find 16, okay, and I go to that point, the slope of the tangent line right there, that slope would be equal to 1/8. Okay, does that make sense? All right, I have another question for you. What is a horizontal tangent line? Yeah, it would be a line like this one, right? A horizontal tangent line would be, let's see if I can draw this. This is y equals square root of x. A horizontal tangent line would be like if I use my hand as a tangent line and I trace the curve, and keep your hand straight, you trace the curve, it would be when the tangent line is totally horizontal. Everybody good with that? So what is the slope when you have a horizontal tangent line? 0. So guys, when they ask for a horizontal tangent line, what you do is instead of y prime equaling to 1/8, what's y prime going to be equal to? 0. So you do all the same thing, okay, all the same things, but you're going to try to find x and y, but now y prime is going to be equal to 0. Okay, well, let's do it again. Do I know what y prime is? Right there, right? So I'm going to say 1 over 2 square root of x is equal to 0. Now remember, I can only cross multiply if I have one fraction on the left, one fraction on the right, and an equal sign in the middle. And I don't have a fraction on the right, so I'm going to force it into a fraction. Now be careful. Some students make this 0 over 0. Guys, 0 over 0 is not equal to 0. Does that make sense? 0 over 0 is indeterminate, okay? What you want to do is put 0 over a number, because isn't 0 over a number equal to 0, right? And it doesn't matter what number you pick. I'm going to pick 1 because that's the easiest to multiply. You can pick 212 if you want, okay? It'll just make the problem a little bit harder, but you'll get the same answer. Do you guys want to do 212? No. No, okay. Well, there's no spirit in here. Okay, so guys, what we're going to do is we're going to say we have one fraction on the left, one fraction on the right, and an equal sign in the middle. We have a go. We can cross multiply. So let's see what happens when we cross multiply. 0 equals 1. Do you see that? Is that true? Is 0 equal to 1? Never. This is never true. So what it turns out is there's no x you could ever put in here that will give you an answer of 0. That's basically what this is saying. 0 is never equal to 1, so you can never solve for x here. So what that means is there is no horizontal tangent line. For this function, square root of x, there's never, ever, ever a horizontal tangent line. Well, does that make sense? Go back up, come back up here. Look at this figure up here. If I put my hand on there and I keep going forever, do you agree that there will never, ever be a totally horizontal line? Okay, I probably drew it in a way that there might be, but you understand that this is going to infinity, right? Really slowly, but it's going to infinity. So yeah, it's true. It will never, ever go flat, your tangent line. And that's why you get no horizontal tangent line here for the last problem. Okay, let's flip to the back. This question says on the top that find the equation of the tangent line. They give you a function, they give you a point. Okay, I think you guys are good to go. Go for it. If you need to find an equation of a tangent line, what 2 things do you need? Write it down. Okay, go ahead and find those two things. You've got a function and you've got a point. We want the equation of a tangent line. What two things did you write down? Hopefully you wrote down point and slope. Those are the two things you need. Okay, I need my slope to be a number. I need to figure out the slope of a tangent line. What is the slope of a tangent line? That's the derivative, right? So the derivative of this y is going to be chain rule. Okay, 2 times 1. Okay, carry down the inside, bring it the power down by 1, and take the derivative of the inside. Hopefully you did the power rule correctly. Okay, so that's the derivative. All right, but this is a great answer, but truly, I want the derivative to be a number. How do I change this into a number? Yeah, plug in x. X is -1. Now, do you guys want to simplify before you put in the number? It doesn't matter to me. It works both ways. You don't want to simplify. Okay, let's just plug in the number. So if x is -1, what's -1 times -1 times -1 right here? -1. So do you see that times 2 is -2? Okay, now I'm going to add 5 to it, and I'm going to multiply this times 6. I'm also going to multiply it by -1 times -1, which is 1. Okay, so this is going to be 2 times 3 times 6, which is 36. So I plugged in a -1 before I even simplified this, and it doesn't matter when you do it. You can do it before or simplify and do it after. You're going to get the same answer. Okay, I've got a number for the slope, which was my goal. I got a number for my point. You guys do it. Write the equation of a tangent line. See if you can do it. Write the equation of a tangent line. Plug it into that formula. Y minus y is equal to the slope times x minus x. Go ahead and write it. That's all you'll be doing today. Y minus y is equal to the slope times x minus x. Do you need a tissue? Okay. Y minus 9 is equal to 36 times x. Be careful. It's x minus -1. So did you remember to change this to a plus? Okay, so that is your equation of a tangent line. And again, from MyMathLab, you're going to have to distribute this. So that's going to be 36x plus 36, y minus 9. You're going to add 9 to both sides. So I get y is equal to 36x plus 45. Yeah, Paula. Haven't decided yet because on MyMathLab, they're making all the students there simplify. So I'll probably make you simplify. Honestly, if you guys are all in here, I wouldn't make you, but it's because they're doing MyMathLab. All right, so this is your final answer. Okay, any questions about that? But I would look at your work, and if you're right here, I might not take off any points. Okay, I might not. No, I would take off a point just to make sure everybody does it, but it wouldn't be very much. Okay, all right. Let's look at another problem. Do you guys feel good about that? I want to show you guys something. It looks really hard, like y minus y equals the slope times x minus x. But guys, you know this equation because watch. What if I divide both sides by x minus x? What equation do I get? Look at this equation. The slope is equal to what? Delta y over delta x. It really is not like a foreign equation, right? It's the same equation we've always been working for what a slope is. Okay, let's have a little bit more fun. Let's go to the next example. And in the next example, it gives you the function. So the function is 3x minus 2 over x squared. Okay, and they said, find the point where the graph has a horizontal tangent line. Well, let's think about this. We have a point and we have a slope. And I know it doesn't say equation of a tangent line, but it talks about a horizontal tangent line, which is kind of similar. See, I'm trying to find the point when the slope is what? When they say you have a horizontal tangent line, what is my slope? 0. So really, it's kind of like the backwards of the equation of a tangent line. I don't have to actually find the slope, but I have to set the slope equal to 0 and then work backwards to find the point. Okay? All right. Y prime is equal to 0. How can I find x? I need to find x out of y prime equals 0. How can I do that? How do I find y prime? Yeah, you have to take the derivative. So let's go. The derivative, or f prime, I guess, f prime of x is equal to, do you see its quotient rule? Derivative of the first times the second minus derivative of the second times the first all over, okay, x squared quantity squared. Okay, and that is the derivative. So I'm going to bring it down here. 3x squared minus 2x times 3x minus 2 over x to the fourth, really, right, is equal to 0. If I have one fraction on the left, one fraction on the right, and an equal sign in the middle, I can cross multiply. I don't have a fraction on the right, so I'm going to make it a fraction. Do not put 0 over 0, okay? That is not the same thing as 0. You can put 0 over 1, you can put 0 over 2, you can put 0 over 212, okay? All of those will work, okay? I have one fraction on the left, one fraction on the right, an equal sign in the middle. That gives me permission to cross multiply. Anything times 1 is itself, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, although I'm going to go ahead and distribute this. So this is going to be 3 minus 6x squared plus 4x is equal to x to the fourth times 0 is 0. Okay, did you guys get the same thing? All right, these right here will combine. They have the same variables here. So that's going to be negative 3x squared plus 4x equals 0. Okay, guys, this is from Algebra 1, but we forget how to do this. How do you solve for x here? Because you could say that you could do a quadratic, but you don't have 3 terms. Like, you only have 2 terms.
Love that.
Yeah, you're going to divide by x, or even more than divide by x, because if you divide by x, you'll lose an answer. What you want is factor out the x, okay, which is almost the same as dividing by x, but you don't lose an x answer. So you factor out the x. Okay, and then what you get is something times something equals 0. When something times something equals to 0, what does that mean about one of these? One of them has to be 0, okay? So either your x must be 0 or your negative 3x plus 4 must be 0. And if I solve that, negative 4, I'll get x is equal to 4/3. Either x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 4/3, okay? Now I want to stop and just come back over here. Sometimes students get this. They'll get x times negative 3x plus 4 is equal to, let's say, 5. Okay? They get something times something equals 5. And what students will write down is that means either x equals 5 or negative 3x plus 4 equals 5. Guys, when something times something equals 5, does that mean one of these must have been 5 to begin with? No, it doesn't work for 5, okay? It only works for 0, because 0 is special, right? Whenever something times something is equal to 0, one of those must have been 0, because nothing times something will give you 0, unless it's 0, okay? So 0 is special. You can't do that for 5, but you can do it for 0. All right. Unfortunately, I got 2 answers for x. I really only wanted 1, but you know what? Oh, boy, I get to do 2. So here we go. 1x is 0. Another possible answer for x is 4/3. Okay, so I'm getting 2 points. I was hoping just to get 1, but hey, more than I bargained for. Okay, so let's go look at my points. This is basically your answer. I need to go in and find my point. So that means I need an x value as well as a y value. Okay, so let's look at your x value here. Okay, how do you solve for y if you know x is 0? Okay, plug it in. So if this is 0, let me do it in a different color. If this is 0 here, and this is 0 down here, do you see you get negative 2 over 0? You guys with me there? What's negative 2 over 0? Is that 0? Is negative 2 over 0, 0? It's undefined, right? So this is an answer. There's no way you can plot that. So that's not an answer. Okay? Well, that actually kind of made me happy because I thought I had to do a lot more stuff. Okay, so let's go back and let's plug in 4/3. Okay, now this one's going to give us a little bit more work. Okay, if I plug in 4/3 right here, so what I'm doing is I'm finding f at 4/3. That means everywhere there's an x, I'm going to put in 4/3. So that's 3 times 4/3 minus 2 over 4/3 squared. You guys okay if I just put 16 over 9? 4/3 times 4/3. Okay? And then on the top, do you guys see the 3's cancel out here? So the top is really just 2. And the bottom is 16 over 9. So it's really 2 over 1 over 16 over 9. Because it's a fraction over a fraction. Dividing fractions easy as pie. Flip the second and multiply. And so what I get is 18 over 16. Did you guys get the same? Divide by 2, I'll get 9/8. So that's my answer. Right here, I'm going to put in 9/8. Okay, and that is my answer. If I go to this point, 4/3, 9/8, then what I'll find is the slope of that point is a horizontal tangent line. Okay? Is everybody good so far? You're hanging on? Okay, let's do the last problem. The last problem is exactly like this problem. It just has sine and cosines in it. And then you guys always shut down whenever there's sine and cosines. So I thought, well, I'll do this one with you. And when you see it on a test or a review or something like that, hopefully you won't shut down. Okay. This says find the point. Find the point. So you're looking for x and y. Find this point when you have a horizontal tangent line. Guys, what do I know about the slope of any horizontal tangent line? It's equal to 0. The derivative is equal to 0. You guys good with that? Okay. So what's my f prime going to be? I need to find y prime. So what's the derivative of x? 1. What's the derivative of 2 sine x? Good. You wish you had done on your test, huh? Okay, 1 plus 2 cosine x. All right, let's solve for x here. If I solve for x, I can plug it right into this point because that's what I'm trying to find. All right, do you see I'm going to subtract both sides by -1? Okay, I need to isolate this x, so let me isolate the cosine x first. That means cosine x is equal to, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Cosine -1/2. You've done this before in pre-cal. Okay, now what I want to do is find x. And it's really hard to find x here. It's really hard to isolate the x, but this is how you can think about it. X is an angle, right? The cosine of what angle gives you -1/2? Think about your unit circle. Cosine of what angle is going to end up with an x value of -1/2? So close. What's this one right here? Yeah, this one's 2 pi over 3. Do you remember this one? This one's harder to remember. It's 4 pi over 3. Do you remember that? Okay. If you have your unit circle, if it's all filled out, you can use it for your test. Does that make sense? But it's all going to be filled out. So I don't know if you have one that's all filled out. I think we had one at the beginning of the year. Maybe you could still have that. Okay, but maybe that'll make you more comfortable. But this angle could be actually 2 things. It could be 2 pi over 3, or it could be 4 pi over 3. There's actually an infinite number of answers it could be, right, if you kept on going in circles. But do you see this domain right here? This says, hey, only go one circle. Don't go a bunch. Okay? All right. And again, unfortunately, I wanted 1x, but I got 2. But that's okay. I'm going to come over here. Okay? I'm going to say I have 2 answers. Okay? One's going to be when x is 2 pi over 3. The other is going to be when x is 4 pi over 3. Okay? So let's go ahead and figure this out. When x is 2 pi over 3, so let me do f of 2 pi over 3. Okay, what is y going to be? Go back to your y. Remember, f of x is just a code word for y. Okay, so this is going to be everywhere there's an x, I'm going to plug in 2 pi over 3. And don't get intimidated by all of these pi's and stuff. It's just everywhere there's an x, put in 2 pi over 3. So there's 2 pi over 3 plus 2 times the sine of 2 pi over 3. What is the sine value of 2 pi over 3? Look at what 2 pi over 3 is here. Let me put it in for you. Maybe negative 1/2, and you're going to go up square root of 3 over 2. And right here, this is going to be negative 1/2, and you're going to go down square root of 3 over 2. So what's the sine value of 2 pi over 3? Square root of 3 over 2. So do you think if you multiply that by 2, do you see you just get square root of 3? Okay, so this is really square root of 3 over 2. And when I multiply it by 2, this answer is just 2 pi over 3 plus square root of 3. And so I'm going to squeeze that right into here. This is going to be 2 pi over 3 plus square root of 3. There's not much more you can do to simplify that. You can put it in your calculator, but that doesn't simplify it. It just gives you an inexact answer. Okay, this is the exact answer. Okay, it's quite ugly, but that's okay, right? We have ugly babies and we still keep them, right? So ugly is okay. Okay, still the right answer. All right, let's go to 4 pi over 3. Okay, if you have 4 pi over 3, I'm going to get in trouble one of these days. Okay, you're going to plug in, everywhere there's an x, you're going to plug in 4 pi over 3. Okay, so here we go. F 4 pi over 3 is equal to what? Everywhere there's an x, I'm going to put in 4 pi over 3. So there's 4 pi over 3, x plus 2 times the sine value of 4 pi over 3. What's the sine of 4 pi over 3? Okay, so I'm going to put in 2 times negative root 3 over 2. Do you see the 2's cancel out? And so what I get is 4 pi over 3 minus root 3. Okay, and again, it's really messy, but there's no way we can simplify that. So we'll just copy it right here. That's 4 pi over 3 minus square root of 3, and that's your y value. You can put it in your calculator, but why? You're going to get an inexact answer. This is the exact answer. Okay, and that's how you do horizontal tangent line. Do you guys feel okay? Go ahead and start your homework. What I want to do is talk to you about it first. I want you to, not online, because online I've already taken it out, but I want you to omit number 5 on your paper, okay? But online I've already taken it out. So online, you guys do not omit anything. And then just look at number 1, because students were just even confused by looking at number 1. Number 1 says, using the definition of a slope, okay? Find the slope of the line tangent to the graph. Really, they're just saying, find the slope of the tangent line. That's how they're saying. Find the slope of the tangent line. So m tan means the slope of the tangent line, which you know is a derivative, right? And that was the formula for the derivative right there. Okay, your function that they give you is 2 over x. The point, that p that they give you, that's the point that they give you. So they're saying 2 over x is a function, and 5 comma 2/5 is the point. Okay, and just like the problems we've been doing, I'm going to let you guys work through that, and I'll help you guys if you need help. If you can right now, can you flip to number 6? We're going to do number 6 together. I don't want you guys to get stuck on number 6 when you do it by yourself. So I'd like to just walk you through number 6, and you'll see how easy these are once you get the hang of it. Number 6 says find the equation of a tangent line when x equals a, and they tell you that y equals e to the x. So there's your y equals e to the x. And they say x equals a and a equals ln of 3, but that's just a long way of saying that your x is equal to ln of 3. Okay, so your x is a number and your y is a function. That's really what we need to start with, okay? All right, you want the equation of a tangent line. So 2 things you're going to write down. Point and what else? Point and what else, guys? Slope, okay? Point and slope. So guys, a point is a coordinate. You need an x and a y. Do you have an x? Yes, you do. What is it? Ln of 3. Do you have a y?
Wait, how did you know ln of 3 was your x?
Because they told you. That's a given. Yeah, that's a given. They tell you kind of in a convoluted way. But they said x equals a, and then a equals ln of 3. So it's just in a convoluted way. Okay, now guys, if my x is ln of 3, and my y is e to the x, how do I figure out my y? Yeah, plug it in. So that means e ln of 3. Guys, any idea what e ln of 3 is? It is actually 3. Yeah, ln and e's are like inverse functions of each other. They're kind of like square root and square. Okay, so this would be 3. So that's your x and that's your y. And we have all numbers. ln of 3 doesn't look like a number, but it is, because you could put it into your calculator and it turns to a number, okay? All right, let's think about slope. This is the slope of a tangent line. So that is really a what? Slope of the tangent line is really a derivative. So I'm going to find y prime. Okay, guys, what is y prime? If y is e to the x, what's y prime? E to the x, very good. All right, but I don't want any x's. I want a number. So what do I plug in for x? Do I have any number for x? Yeah, it's ln of 3. Does that make sense? X is ln of 3. So I'm going to take this ln of 3 here. I'm going to plug it into here. Oh, but what does that tell me y prime is? 3. Okay, so I've got all numbers, guys. I've got x, I've got y's, I've got a y prime. Everything's a number. I've got a point and a slope. You guys do it. Write the equation of a tangent line. Did you get y minus y is equal to the slope times x minus x? And this really is the answer. We just need to distribute. So this would be 3x minus 3 ln of 3. And then you want to add 3 to both sides. And that's your answer. It's really ugly, but there's really no way. I don't think it'll simplify anymore. And so you just leave it with 3 terms like that. And that's your answer to letter A.